the noise brought on you, because here it comes.
Just hike the ball, nut job.
The Chris Treece Show.
Drop it low, girl. 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 Drop it low, girl.
Welcome back to the Chris Treece Show on Tennessee Sports Radio, tnsportsradio.com. Phone lines are open, 888-859-1180, 546-2148. See, now even Seth is buying in with the music. Drop it low.
Hey, can't beat it, you win it.
Why
right?
not? Why not?
Embrace it.
It's just that kind of day. So, as I told you guys before we went to break, we've got a phenomenal young man in studio with us. He's going to be our intern for the next 3 days, and I'm sure that you'll hear him periodically throughout the rest of the week on everybody's show, as he's got just a wealth of knowledge for only being 14. Go check out his website, teens4tn. That's the number 4tn.com. It's all about UT. And he is a journalist and a blogger. His name is Griffin Hampstead. Griffin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell me, I just got to know this right off the bat. How are you getting to play hooky for like the next 4 days? Because that's pretty cool in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. At my school, we've been studying career exploration, and we've been looking at different career paths and things. And it's for the 8th grade. And so all the 8th graders are going on an internship this week, and I chose to intern here because I'm a big sports fan, and I'm looking to work in the field of sports someday.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, out of all the stations that you could have picked, we're honored that you picked Tennessee Sports Radio, so thank you for that. So I was talking to Bailey, our boss, a little earlier before I came in, and he said that you weren't even born when Arkansas and South Carolina actually came into the league. So what do you think about the new expansion now with Texas A&M and Missouri?
Well, I think that both those teams can add something else to the league. I wish that they had picked up a team besides Missouri, although they do seem to be, they were especially really good in basketball this season, even though they lost to Norfolk State in the tournament. I think that if they had gotten a team that was actually in the East, like West Virginia or something along those lines, to put in the Eastern Conference, that would have been more fitting than putting Missouri in the Eastern Conference. But I think that it's going to be good for the league, but I don't want to see it become 18, 20 teams, because I feel like that's just overkill.
Do you think that some of these leagues will start to expand like that just to compete with the SEC? For perfect example, the Pac-12, as it's called now, which I'm sure that they're going to have to change the name every 4 years just because they want to expand. But do you think it's smart for a conference like the Pac-12 to keep trying to expand in order to keep up with the SEC?
Well, I think if you have a conference like the SEC, when week in and week out you're playing quality games, and it seems like if you take the top 3 quarters of the SEC against any other conference, they will probably win, because the SEC is just so dominant in football. They've won the last 6 national championships. I think that conferences will want to expand to keep up with the SEC and to have that talent to be able to beat them.
Now, tell me, how did you get into blogging and journalism? Because, I mean, look, he came in and handed us business cards.
Yeah, he going to stand up, reach in his pocket, and pull out his cards and hand them to us.
I'm Griffin. Here's my card. Now, that's impressive that he's that organized at age 14. So what piqued your interest to get into writing and writing about the Vols?
Well, I've always been a Vols fan. I've pretty much been born and bred orange and white. I have to give credit to my mom, because it was March Madness a couple years ago. That's all I wanted to talk about was sports, March Madness, basketball, filling out brackets, all that kind of stuff. And my mom said, she thought I was a really talented writer, and she said that having a blog would be a great way to get my creative energy flowing and to channel my sports enthusiasm into a way to share it with other people.
And you have a Twitter account as well.
Yes.
And we need to get you hooked up with us and blow his Twitter account
right.
out. So what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is and then teens4tn, and that's the numeral 4tn, just like my website.
See, Seth is writing that down because he probably won't remember this tomorrow, so he's going to try to follow later. So do you remember the first game that you went to in Neyland Stadium?
The first game I went to, I'd always been a Vols fan, but I believe the first game I went to would have been not this season, but the last season, Derek Dooley's first year I went to the UT Martin game where we won 50-0, and I remember that's the first time I can remember going to Neyland Stadium. I might have been to a game before, but you'd have to ask my dad. I can't remember.
I'm sure he took you at some point before. So what did you think about your very first experience being in Neyland? I know you've seen all the pictures and you read a whole lot of stuff, obviously, but what was it like for you actually being there?
In my opinion, I don't think there's a bad seat in the entire stadium. It's a great stadium, and it's one of the best in college football. I had a great experience. The first time that I was in Neyland Stadium and watched the team run through the tee, the power and the enthusiasm that you feel when you're in that stadium is something that is just undescribable for me.
For us, too. And we played there. And it is still, I don't know about Breezy, but it's still for me, every time I go to a game and I see him run through the tee, I still get the chills like I'm ready to strap up.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll always get those feelings. I mean, just crowd goes crazy, man. And just being down there and watching it go away from you, and then they walk it back down, and then it just opens. It's a special feeling.
I mean, it's one of the greatest spectacles in all of college football. To be a part of that is special. So talk a little bit about some of the things that you actually write about and some of the things that are actually on your blog now.
The bulk of what I write about is football games and basketball games. From August until March or April, that's when the biggest portion of my articles and things I've written, because that's when all the college football games are on and all the Tennessee basketball games are on. And it's mainly about Tennessee sports, Tennessee football, and Tennessee basketball. And that is a lot of what I write about. But now, in this spring, summer, I've written about softball, I've written about baseball before, I've written about Predators hockey and NBA playoffs, all kinds of things.
Chris will like that.
I love the NBA. You know that. Everybody likes the NBA but Treece.
Right.
I'll watch the playoffs.
It's good, man. It's good basketball.
But I just can't. Like we were talking about Charlotte this morning. I mean, that's horrible.
That's because they're just terrible. That's not a team that I would watch.
Right.
It's just so bad.
I mean, even Swain, who's a basketball connoisseur, an NBA connoisseur.
Yeah. It's bad.
He didn't even know half the people that he goes, that's their team? I mean,
the product is bad in Charlotte.
Until you see it.
Yes. If you don't know, we're talking about Google the Charlotte Bobcats roster.
And try to go to YouTube and watch some of the. I'm sure everything on YouTube is horrible. Some of their highlights.
They're horrible.
So what do you think about the team this year? I mean, you've heard us talk this morning in a portion of today about the spring game. And the spring game is by no means a benchmark of where they're going to be next season. But based on what you heard us talk about, because, you know, we've got 3 players in here now, and Ainge will be here tomorrow, hopefully. But how do you think they'll look, or what do you think they'll finish next season?
I think that I think it's improvement from where we were last year considerably. I think the offensive line has stepped up, and I think the defense has stepped up too. And it's going to take some adjustment transitioning into the 3-4 defense. But I'm pretty excited about that, and I'm pretty excited to see where Sal Sunseri takes his defense in the next few years. And I think the running game has stepped up too, and I think Tyler Bray looks good. I'm not ready to say that we're a 9 or 10 win team yet, but I do see improvement from last season.
It's a good answer.
That's
a fair assessment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm going to ask you about last year, and in particular the Kentucky game, because you weren't even born when the streak started.
No.
The streak started 2 years before I came in.
Started in 84, the last time they lost to Kentucky.
Right, 84. So it started back up in 85, which I was a junior in high school. And I came here in 86. So it was 2 years old to the good for Tennessee.
Right.
And it had been 26 years. What did you think about that Kentucky game last year?
I would have hated to be on that team or on that coaching staff that lost that streak, because every year when people look at the schedules, Kentucky is an automatic win because it had been that way for a quarter of a century. And I think that I would have hated to have been on that team knowing that you lost the streak. I was extremely disappointed that we didn't make a bowl game and that we lost to Kentucky, because it's not only one of the two, it's both, and it happened in one game. And I felt disgusted with Tyler Bray's comments after the game about not wanting to go to some crappy bowl game. And I feel like he should have a better attitude about those kind of games.
It was definitely one of the lowest points in the program.
Yeah.
I mean,
lowest point since
ever.
I've been alive.
Yeah.
Ever. We've got about a minute until we have to go to the top of the hour TSR report with our own Seth Stokes. Start calling Seth Boogie. Boogie. But I mean, you're a new Tennessee fan. I mean, you've been born and raised around the sport of football here in Knoxville. What's the one thing that you'd like to see UT do to improve to make things better?
That's an interesting question. The one thing that I would like to see improvement in would be fan turnout at games, because with the games I went to last year, I went to the Buffalo game, and the stadium looked half empty, and I really feel like the fans need to come out and support the team and support the Vols, because they're our team and we need to show that support.
It's a great answer, man. Hey, continued success. We're going to keep pumping up your website. Griffin Hampstead is going to be with us for the rest of the week.
Thank you for having me.
There you go, Seth. We'll be back in a minute.